study is titled The Economic Disparities Among Patients with Heart Failure, a Nationwide Study. And heart failure patients still impose a major economic burden. However, due to individual management of patients, there might be a large cost heterogeneity among patients. This is again a nationwide retrospective registry study in patients with a first-time hospital-based heart failure diagnosis. However, this time with data from 2012 to 2015. Again, we used multiple Danish registries for this study. Here we only looked at the total cost, so both direct and indirect cost, and looked at the index date as one approach, and the other was a 3-year aggregated sum after index. We then grouped patients into cost deciles to investigate the cost distribution among patients. And lastly, we looked at variables associated with being in the highest cost decile and present them in with an odds ratio. So if we look at the study, we included 11,000 patients, so that would be around 1,100 patients in each cost decile. And the patients in the highest 10% cost decile were significantly younger and fewer were females. So if we look at this graph, we see the 10 cost deciles and that the relationship is non-linear. On the y-axis, we have the total healthcare cost, and what we see is the 10% most cost-heavy patients are have a 30 times higher economic burden than the lowest 10% of patients. If we look at the variables being associated with being in the highest cost decile compared to the 90% rest, if I highlight some of them, we see younger age, male, sex, renal disease as the highly associated. Furthermore, we see a college education and those that die during the first year after heart failure diagnosis. So the conclusion in this study is that a large healthcare economic disparity exists between patients with heart failure, and several variables can be used to identify patients in the high cost group. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to come back to the question that this gentleman asked. Male sex, younger patients. To me, that strikes as potentially that the HFrEF patients might fall into the more expensive group. Older patients, female patients were cheaper. Maybe that's the HFpEF group. And so I think the question that you asked before is really important. And does it relate, do you think, to the fact that we don't currently have any treatments for HFpEF and therefore they're relatively cheap to treat?
You said also people who died early, they were high cost. And that's very common in medicine. If you look at the end of life, in the last 6 months of your life, you spend a lot of money on people. I'm not saying you shouldn't spend on young people, but when you get into your 85 and things like that, you spend a lot of money in the last 6 months or a year, because you do a lot of investigation, you do a lot of things going on. That's not what you're saying.
But again, the last 6 months of your year is also a proxy for disease severity. So that would match, yeah.
So I mean, young people compared to heart disease, early in life, things like that.
So why is it that higher education is associated with higher cost? That's our question again.
Yeah. He asked why higher education, the college degree, is associated with higher costs. And we haven't looked into this further, but it is shown that the socioeconomic status is inverse related to unhealthy living. And I guess the college education could be associated to this. Furthermore, high socioeconomic status, I guess they are better at using the healthcare system, at going to the practitioner, seeing the doctor more, and thereby being a high economic burden.
So they request a MitraKit or an ICD?
Hopefully there's low inequality in healthcare system, but I can't